Hi dear students, Santosh here, and today I am going to deliver the lecture number 8 part 2, that is air pollution, its impacts and control. So please watch my lecture till the end to get the ideas clear about this air pollution. So let us start the lecture. First of all, what is the environment? Environment is made up of biophysical as well as socio-economic elements. So one must know these two types of elements, and these factors should be considered when the impact of air pollution is studied. From the desirability point of view, any activity may have positive or negative impact. That is very important. Any activity may have positive or negative impact. From considering the changes due to air pollution, the existing environment or ecology should also be considered. So one must study the existing environment and environment after the air pollution to know its impact. The air pollution has numerous effects which depend upon the environment. The cause condition effect relationship, this is very important. What is the cause? What is the condition? What are the effects? And the relationship between the cause condition effect relationship for each pollutant has to be studied. Each pollutant has to be studied individually for different environments. Means for different environments one must study all the air pollutants as well as that air pollutants cause condition effect relationship. That is very important. So how we control the air pollution? The following are the measures to be adopted to control the air pollution. First is to avoid the using vehicles. Means one must go for using cycles or mass public transport system or mass rapid transit system. One can use that, and which are available in metropolitan cities. People should avoid using vehicles for shorter distances. One must go for walking or one must go for cycle. That is very important. Then second is the energy conservation. A large number of fossil fuels are burned to generate the electricity. Therefore, do not forget to switch off the electrical appliances when not in use. That is important. Thus, you can save the environment at individual level. Use the energy efficient devices such as CFLs. LED is also energy conservative type of bulbs, and these are used to control the pollution to a greater level. Then use of clean energy resources, that is also important. The clean energy resources means that are the generally natural resources such as a solar, wind and geothermal energies. Reduce the air pollution at a larger level. Various countries including India also have implemented the use of these resources as a step towards the cleaner environment. So solar energy is very important nowadays, and you know that all the farmers, all the individuals also using this solar energy to reduce the use of other type of energies. Other air pollution control measures include by minimizing and reducing the fire and fire products, that is very important. Then industrial emissions. Industrial emissions is the major cause of air pollution, you must know that, and it can be controlled or treated at the source itself. At the source it can be treated to reduce the effects. For example, if the reaction of certain raw material of a yield a pollutant, then the raw material can be substituted with the other less polluting material. So we can use the substitute type of materials. So we can reduce the industrial emissions with the use of innovative technologies and innovative materials. A very effective way of controlling the air pollution by diluting the air pollutant. So dilution is the technique to reduce the pollution. Another way of controlling the air pollution caused by the industries is to modify and maintain the pieces of equipment. That is very important. M&M, to modify and maintain the pieces of equipment so that emissions of the pollutant is minimized. Major classification of air pollutants, you know that primary air pollutant and secondary air pollutant. What is the primary air pollutant? These are the substances that are directly emitted into the atmosphere from the source. Source means any industry or any house. Primary pollutants are those that are emitted directly from the identifiable sources. Secondary air pollutants are those are produced in the air by the interaction between two or more primary pollutants. So, secondary is the combination of one or two or more primary pollutants, and primary means that is directly emitted into the atmosphere from the individual or identifiable sources. That is very important, one must study that. Then primary air pollutants, fine less than 100 micron and coarse more than 100 micron, that is SPM, that is suspended particulate matter, that is the primary air pollutant. Then oxides of the sulfur, that is SO2, these are the primary air pollutants. Oxides of the nitrogen also, carbon monoxide also, halogen, organic compounds and radioactive compounds, all these are treated as a primary pollutant. And what are the secondary pollutant? That is ozone. One must know the PAN, that is not a PAN card, but that is peroxy acyl nitrate, that is the PAN. Then photochemical smog. Smog means what? Smog means smoke plus fog, that is called as a smog. This smog is very important, and in London tragedy we are going to study this smog in detail. Then acid mists also there. These are the secondary air pollutants. So one must see this figure. From mobile sources there is a pollution. From volcanic eruptions there is a pollution. From the industries, that is from stationary sources there is a pollution. And what are the primary pollutants? That are the CO, CO2, then SO2, nitrates, NO, NO2. These all are the primary pollutants. And what are the secondary pollutants? The reaction between these two or more materials. We get the PAN also, we get the H2SO4 also. All these types of pollutants are termed as a secondary pollutants. So one must study this figure. This figure is self-explanatory. Then we are going to study impact of air pollution. How we affect the environment, one must know that from motor vehicle emissions or automobile emissions, industrial emissions, SPM from the construction sites, power plants, deforestation, then burning of agricultural waste, cooking smokes, heaters, then gasoline stations, stationary diesel fuel tanks, heaters, gasoline stations and smoking. All these factors lead to environmental deterioration, or these factors affect the environment very badly in long term. So one must see this figure to get the various sources of air pollutants. Then we are going to study the major environmental air pollution EP source, that is very important, and London smog is there. London smog is nothing but the smoke plus fog condition occurs in the London due to inversion of temperature. On December 5th, 1952, a phenomenon known as a temperature inversion occurred in the atmosphere in London, in England. This resulted in dense fog forming in the center of the city of London. What is the temperature inversion? During a temperature inversion, very little air movement occurs, and air, including the particulate matter and other pollutants it contains, get trapped into a given location. There is a trapping of that pollutant, and suspended matter in the air can provide nuclei on which particles of moisture and other pollutants such as acids and others are deposited. So this phenomenon is called as a temperature inversion, and it occurs in winter. During this time, the temperature hovered around 0 degrees Celsius. The burning of the fossil fuels, means coal, in the open or fires in the homes, in the industrial generation of the electricity, and the emissions from the transportation vehicles contributed to the atmospheric pollution. So all these air pollutants get trapped, and measurement of the total suspended matter, that is TSM, and sulfur dioxide, that is SO2, were routinely made in both central and peripheral of London city during this time. During 6 to 8 December 1952, daily averages from all moisturizing points increased up to fivefold to 1.6 micron or mg per meter cube, and the general range was 0.12 to 0.44. So peak values were 3 to 10 times more than that of normal values, and these are highest in the central location. Due to this condition, the demand of the hospital beds increased on December 8, and Central London hospitals issued emergency bed warning that they had sufficient beds for fewer than 85% of the applicants. So there are difficulty to get the beds in the hospitals. The mortality rate in certain parts of the London increased dramatically during this time. The major cause of death were variety of respiratory related illnesses, cardiac illnesses and ill-defined illnesses. In addition, many animals had to be slaughtered because of illness during this time, likely because of this fog. So this fog plus smoke, that is London smog tragedy, is very dangerous, and it occurred in 1952, and the month is December, means it's occurred in winter. Then every Indian must know that Bhopal gas tragedy. The Bhopal gas tragedy was the gas leak incident in the India and considered world's worst industrial disasters. That is very dangerous, and it occurred on the night of 2nd and dawn of the 3rd December 1984 at the Union Carbide India Limited. One must know the name of the company, that is Union Carbide India Limited, pesticide plant in Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh, India, and this company was the Indian subsidiary of Union Carbide Corporation. The plant manufactured Savin carbide among the other pesticides. MIC was one of the chemicals processed for the prime reactions. That MIC is also one of the chemical that is used for prime reactions. Then accident. For even before December 1984 incident, numerous incidents had forewarned of oncoming disaster. However, everybody neglected that. During the incident, most of the safety systems were not functioning. Many walls and lines were in poor condition, and during the night of December 2nd and 3rd, a large movement of water is claimed to have entered into the tank. A runway reaction started, and which was accelerated by the contaminants, high temperature and other factors. High temperature is one of the factor also. A leak of methyl isocyanate, one must know this name of gas, methyl isocyanate gas, and other chemicals from the plant resulted in the exposure of the hundred of thousands of the people. The official immediate death toll was 2,259, and the government of Madhya Pradesh has confirmed a total of 3,787 deaths related to gas release. Other estimate 8,000 died within 2 weeks, and another 8,000 or more have since died from the gas related diseases. Means 16,000 deaths are claimed due to this Bhopal gas tragedy. When panic was at its peak at major hospitals of the city, the patient could be graded symptomatically into 4 categories: minor eye ailments, throat irritation and cough, severe conjunctivitis, keratitis, acute bronchitis and drowsiness. Several pulmonary edema leading to cardiorespiratory distresses, muscular weaknesses with another common feature. Civil and criminal causes are pending in United States District Court, Manhattan, and the District Court of Bhopal, India, involving that companies employing. Passing the Environmental Protection Act in India in 1986 and Public Liability Insurance Act is also passed due to this Bhopal tragedy, and it is passed in year 1986. Then we are going to study the plume behavior. So what is the plume? A plume refers to a visible or invisible column of substances. They are released into the atmosphere. water or any other medium and disperse as they are transported by surrounding flow. Plumes can consist of various materials such as gases, particles or combination of both. The behavior and characteristics of the plume, including the shape, size and dispersion, that is very important, dispersion pattern, are influenced by the factors such as the emission source, atmospheric conditions, wind speed and turbulence. The behavior of the plume depends on the combination of factors including the characteristics of the source, atmospheric conditions I discussed earlier. So, there are three types of plume. Fanning plume, the name indicates its shape is like a fan. A fanning plume occurs when the wind blows across the path of the plume. Across the path of the plume, that is very important. The wind causes the plume to spread out horizontally, resembling a fan shape. Name itself indicates the shape is like a fan. And fanning plumes are influenced by the wind direction and speed and are commonly observed in the open areas and near bodies of water. That is fanning plume. This is the fanning plume. Okay. Second is the looping plume. Name itself indicates its shape is like a loop. Looping plume occurs when the emitted substances undergoes cyclical or oscillatory motion. This behavior is typically observed when there are variations in the wind speed and directions at different altitudes. Coning plume. The coning plume refers to a behavior when the plume narrows or converges as it rises, resembling a cone shape. This can occur when emitted substances has higher velocity at the source and then spreads out as it rises and disperses. Coning plumes are commonly observed in the chimney emissions or exhaust from the jet engines. So this is the looping plume. The shape is like a loop and there is a graph between height of the chimney and the temperature. This graph is also important. One must study this graph. Then second is, this is a strong lapse condition, that is looping plume. Weak lapse condition is a coning plume. The shape is like a cone. This is the coning plume and this is a graph between height and temperature. And third is the inverse condition. This inverse condition occurs in the London Smog tragedy, that is temperature inversion. One must know all these three patterns and plume behavior. So this is very important as far as examination is concerned, as far as oral examinations are concerned, and these are very important factors as far as your diploma and degree level study is concerned. So one must study all these factors in air pollution. So thanking you, and for more details and notes you may contact my new administrator Viresh, and number is 8766847055 and my email ID is there. So you may write me email also on svkulkarni72@gmail.com. So thanking you. Bye bye. See you in next lecture. Okay.